everyone, welcome back to Just the iLogs. Today I make repeat meals that I know my family will enjoy multiple times in a month. Stay until the very end where I'll share a quick drink recipe that's light and refreshing any time of year. If you enjoy watching this video, please like and subscribe. Hi everyone, welcome back to Just the iLogs. Our big family vacation is over and today's the last day of August. So our big fun of the year is done and I have to get back to reality. So in order to get back to reality, I decided to do smaller grocery shopping trips. That way it's more manageable and it's going to be less stress on the start of the new school year. A few days ago, my husband and I went to our local ShopRite and did do a grocery shopping haul that I did not record. And it wasn't really so interesting, but that grocery haul did cost us $200. So I really want to manage our money well. And I want to start by shopping and just be intentional with our money. So today I have bought on my table 3 days or 3 dinners worth. We are meat lovers, so you will see a lot of meat in our dishes. So the first dish we have here is going to be chicken adobo. And I did buy boneless chicken thighs. These were $2.99 a pound, and these are the Bowl and Basket brand. I didn't have the energy to go to Costco this time, so I just bought it there. And they're actually the same price per pound. So I have 2 packages there. They are going to be marinated for about a day, and then they're going to be cooked. And then this ground beef here that is only 3.43 pounds is going to be for beef stroganoff. I did cook beef stroganoff yesterday. I tried to use whatever I had. And so I couldn't really get a good grasp of the measurements. Also today, or maybe even tomorrow, I want to recreate that dish so you guys can see what the measurements that I have used. The next day, whenever the third meal will be, is we have chicken marsala. And I have chicken breast tenderloins instead of chicken breast thinly cut. The rest of my groceries is on the table and you can see it's pretty bare. I have the Lipton Southern Iced Tea, and that's a sweet tea. I have the Tropicana. And I have the lime, and that's going to be made for our drink. I really want to stretch out our money. I'm going to tell my husband, honey, sorry, don't buy the soda. Don't buy the Diet Pepsi or the Diet Coke. We are going to be making some sweet tea. And then I have shallots, cream cheese, and sour cream, all for our beef stroganoff. I do have some pasta for the beef stroganoff. I didn't want to buy the egg noodles like I did yesterday. So I'm going to use what I have, and that way I can keep prices down. My main thing on my channel is to raise my family 7 and live in a reasonable price life. I'm not looking for the cheapest deal around where it's pennies, because I'm not going to find that in my area, but I'm just trying to find the most reasonable amount and what I can afford as well. So I know we're meat eaters and I try to do vegetables and it just sits there. So I understand this is something that my family's not going to eat and I need to adjust to it. There's also have been many days where I buy all these vegetables and they go to waste in my refrigerator. I tend to forget what I have and I know I should be making some sort of a list, but a list maker is not what I am. I'm more of this is what I have, I'm gonna go with it. I'm very a laid back person. So that's why these smaller grocery hauls are more practical for me and practical for my family. And it's not that hard because I do have plenty of grocery stores around my area. For today's dinner, I'm gonna give my kids a choice of what they want to eat. They can either eat beef stroganoff again, like I made last night, because my daughter was looking for it this morning. She's like, what happened to all the food? Who ate all the food? That was a lot. And yes, I did. I made a lot of food, but everybody was hungry and we haven't had that dish in a long time. So I'm either gonna make that because that was pretty easy. That was like more like a one pot kind of thing. But today I'm gonna use a different kind of pasta if I decide to make it, or if my kids decide to make it again. Then if they wanted chicken adobo, that might be a little bit more difficult because we do like to marinate it. It's not that we can't do it today, but I prefer to have an overnight marinade so the chicken gets very, very tasty. And then we have chicken marsala, which it can take some time, especially if I'm mashing up a lot of chicken, which I have here. I have 3 packs of chicken, but I might just make 2. So it depends what my kids are in the mood for and how much time I actually have to cook. So today's a day off. I'm still kind of on vacation. So the sky's the limit from what I have on my table. My kids can choose and I will cook it for them. The kids chose chicken adobo for tonight's dinner. And I have here 1/2 cup of soy sauce, 1/3 cup
of distilled vinegar. I have 2 tablespoons of this leek oyster sauce. I have 2 tablespoons of tomato ketchup, and I have 1 teaspoon of black pepper. In addition to, I have 2 teaspoons of granulated sugar. Now, everybody makes their chicken adobo differently. Even I make my chicken adobo differently from day to day. So this is what I wanted in the chicken adobo this time. You can also see there's plenty of garlic in here, and they're crushed and chopped up pretty largely. And that's about half of the garlic bulb. So I'm gonna put all this chicken in here. I'm gonna let it marinate. And I know it's a lot of chicken, so for a smaller family, you don't have to use all of this sauce. You can just cut it in half, and you can also adjust it to your taste. The distilled vinegar, you can put apple cider vinegar. This is just what I had. You don't have to put oyster sauce. You don't have to put ketchup. You can put hot sauce in here as well. Again, you can make chicken adobo however you want from day to day. And the meat that I have is boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and I have 6 pounds worth because I have a big family, and that's gonna get eaten up in 1.5 meals. So I'm just gonna marinate this for a couple hours, and then we're gonna cook it later on when I get back home.
Here's my chicken after it's been marinating for about 3 hours now. So you can see there's a lot more liquid on top, but we're not going to put all that liquid just yet. We are going to saute some garlic, and we're going to make it nice and brown and caramelized, not burnt though. And then we're gonna add all this and then just let it cook, and then you can pour in the extra liquid. Before you saute your garlic, make sure your pan is nice and hot, not to the point where it's going to start smoking. And then you wanna add your room temperature oil. Now, if it starts to smoke, then just shut off the heat and let it cool down a little bit. And if it doesn't, if it's nice and hot but it doesn't smoke, it's just the right temperature, and you're gonna make your pan nonstick. This is what I'm talking about when you want your garlic nice and brown. Not everything is in the same color, but this is the color that you're trying to achieve. Not any burnt flavor or burnt smells.
To stretch this dish, you can add either boiled potato, boiled eggs, or just add both. To save time, you don't need to peel the potatoes. Just cut them into quarters. You can also boil the eggs and the potatoes together. As always, if you are enjoying this video or if you found it useful, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's been about 15 minutes and I just uncovered the chicken adobo. I would say most of it is cooked, like the smaller pieces. The bigger pieces can probably cook for maybe another 5 minutes. It is very tender right now. I'm going to cook this a little bit longer just so the sauce can get a little bit more concentrated, but the flavor is spot on. I do have extra sauce or extra marinade that I can add and boil if I wanted to, but I'm just going to leave it alone like right now because the sauce tastes pretty good. Again, 5 more minutes and the chicken adobo is done. Here is our final product, our dinner for tonight, and I did cook it for about 10 minutes instead of the 5. And you can see it is cooked and tender and juicy. We are cooking some hot steamy rice to eat with this, and this is gonna go real fast. I don't expect any leftovers for tonight. Hi everyone, this is day 2 for our repeat family dinners. And these are dishes that are easy to cook, less fuss, and food that your family will actually eat. At least my family will eat. And we are meat eaters, just to let you know. Most of our dishes don't have a lot of vegetables, and believe me, I tried. The vegetables just sit there on my table. So day 2, we're gonna be cooking somewhat of a chicken marsala. And the way I cook is that what I have, I'll use. If I had planned this maybe better, I would have what I exactly needed. But I think what I have in-house will still work out. What I have on my table, I have about almost 4 pounds of chicken tenderloins. You can use chicken breast and cut it thinly, but this is a no-fuss kind of dinner. And after rinsing it out and taking out the excess water, I did dry this or pat this dry with a towel. You can add your shallots. I have 1 pretty large shallot in here. I also have 2 teaspoons of chicken bouillon, a little bit more pepper, and a little bit of garlic. I would just say just a sprinkle of each, just to give it a little bit more flavor. I didn't add any more salt because that chicken bouillon is pretty salty. In this bowl, I have about 24 ounces of cut up white button mushrooms. You can use a different mushroom if you have it, but what I have and what I prefer and my family prefers is a white button mushroom.
I do like to cut it nice and thick because it does cook down a lot. I do like to cook this separately from the chicken just because it saves me some time, and I don't like the dark, very dark liquid going into the chicken. It does give it a little bit more flavor and a little bit darker than I prefer, so that's how I cook my mushrooms. And then in this bowl, I have another pretty large shallot cut up, not finely, but coarsely. And I'm going to be sauteing the chicken tenderloins again with this, along with some butter. I have a little bit of oil in there, and then I put the stick of butter. You can see that the butter has gotten kind of brown already, and I don't want to burn it, so I'm going to hurry up. I'm going to put the shallots in there. If you really want to take time on making this, then I would do this in several batches if you're cooking a lot of meats. But it's late and I don't want any fuss with this dinner, so I'm putting everything in here.
If you have more time, you can flatten out the meat so it will cook more evenly. You can also buy pre-sliced chicken breast, though I find it more expensive. The cost of chicken breast versus chicken tenderloins are about the same, though I don't need to cut the meat when using chicken tenderloin.
So let's flip the chicken over now that it's cooked for a few minutes. It did get a little brown. That's nice. That's kind of what we're aiming for. Maybe because I had this pan nice and hot, and we had the butter as well. I want to lower the heat just a little bit because I don't want to cook too fast. When you cook chicken too fast or the heat too high, it tends to get a little tough. And I don't want that. I don't want to overcook this chicken. Just going to give it another 2 to 3 minutes on this side. Might have to switch this over. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to have to switch a couple pieces around. That's not really getting cooked all that well. Okay, this pan seems to cook it fairly evenly. Though it is a pretty big pan for my small stove. So there might be a few spots that's not heated all the way. Alright. So I'm going to let this cook just a few minutes just so all the sides basically can get nice and brown. Oop, I think I missed one. There we go. And then we're going to add some wine. The red wine that I have here is called Opacci, and it kind of smells like Marsala. And it looks like there's about maybe more than 2 cups left in here. I'm going to start off with 1 cup and see how the flavor goes with this chicken. The chicken is cooked enough where I want to pour the wine. I have a cup of cup of red wine. I also have a cup of water. If you have chicken broth, go ahead and pour the chicken broth, but I don't have it right now. I do have the bouillon on the chicken that it was marinating, so I don't need to add any more bouillon at this point. I'm gonna let this cook for a few minutes uncovered because I want that alcohol to evaporate. I'm just gonna increase the heat just a little. I'm gonna give it a taste afterwards to see if it needs additional red wine, and then I do need to let it evaporate just a little bit. I don't have exact measurements since I tend to cook this in different ways, and sometimes I cook more chicken, less chicken, some chicken broth, or the actual Marsala. On my back burner, I have another pan. This is more like a frying pan, and I have all the mushrooms on there. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of salt just to help sweat out that water and cook faster. And then hopefully by that time I can add it into the chicken. I tasted the sauce. The wine is fine. Sometimes I do like to add a little bit more, but I think I'm gonna leave it as is because I'm still evaporating the liquid. There is a lot of liquid. I should have added only half a cup of water, not 1 full cup. It does need a little bit more salt and a little bit more chicken bouillon. So I'm gonna do that. Just a little bit of salt here, not too much. Some bouillon, I would say this is maybe 1.5 teaspoons, and a little more pepper. I'm just gonna let this evaporate. And then once that mushroom is kind of cooked, I would say halfway cooked, we're gonna add everything together. This chicken is pretty much done. I just don't like the liquid in here. It's too much. Actually, I do have to add some flour. I used to add cornstarch, but I noticed it takes more cornstarch to thicken the sauce than it does flour. And it does thicken it up, it just gives it a little bit different thickness. Kind of like gelatinous instead of like saucy. The mushrooms have already started to sweat. I'm gonna give that a mix so everything can get nice and evenly cooked. It's already reducing a little bit. This doesn't take long. And I did rinse these mushrooms out. Some people don't like to do that. Some people like to just rub the dirt off it, but I just don't like pieces of actual dirt in my food. So I prefer rinsing the mushrooms. So you can see it doesn't take long. I'm gonna give it another few minutes and it should be ready. You can see it has a nice brown color here as well to add to the depth of flavor to this dish. Here's our flour and sauce mixture. I did add about 1.5 cups of that sauce from the chicken and then about 2 tablespoons of flour. I did have to mix it a little while because there was a lot of clumps, and you can see there's still clumps in here, but I think it will be fine. I'm gonna add the mushrooms first, and then we're gonna add this thickened sauce and then mix everything together. The heat is off right now, so I don't want this chicken to get cooked anymore because I don't want it to get tough. So now we're gonna add the mushrooms, and it's a lot. Let me add just the mushrooms first before I add the sauce. I don't like to add too much of the dark liquid. I do the same thing with when I make spaghetti because I don't want the sauce to get dark. I may just add the mushroom sauce though because there's not a lot in here and it will give it an extra flavor. Yeah, there's not a lot, so I'm gonna add the rest. Okay, that looks good. Now let's add our sauce. I just turned on the heat and now we're gonna mix everything. I just want it to get nice and thick. At this point, everything is cooked. Quick update, I did add another tablespoon of flour with the sauce mixture. It just didn't have enough thickness that I wanted. So now it's been cooking for another few minutes just to get the sauce nice and thick, and it's ready to serve. Here's the chicken. You can see the sauce has thickened with that 1/3 tablespoon of flour. The mushrooms are still intact and they are a good size, just like how I like it and my kids like it. The chicken is tender enough and I didn't have to do anything but rinse it from the package. And the sauce is on point. It has just the right amount of flavor. So that's it. This is our second No Fuss repeat family dinners. And I hope you can try this very easy recipe. Hi everyone, we have our final and third repeat family meals, and I made it so where it's not cumbersome. You're not shopping for the whole month or even 2 weeks. You're just basically shopping for that week or just for a long weekend. So these are meals that your family will eat and are less fussed to cook. And I intentionally made it that way because I don't want to have to clean all the dishes. I don't want to have to slave at the stove. I don't want to have to take hours on cooking dinner, especially when we have summer or we have school. Whatever time of the month or year it is, it's going to be easier to cook a dish that your family will actually eat. You can actually repeat these dinners over and over again within the month as often as your family wants to eat them. On my table, I have most of my ingredients. I have ground beef, and this is about almost 4 pounds. I have 2 containers of sour cream and they're 1 pound each.
or 16 ounces. I also have 2 containers of cream cheese, and these are just 8 ounces. And then I have the pasta of choice for today, and this is penne rigate. You can actually cook it within the beef stroganoff itself, but I'm going to cook it separately so it doesn't withdraw all the sauce. And this is what I have, so I'm going to use the penne rigate. We're going to start off with boiling a big pot of water. I just put it on there so it's not boiling yet. We're also going to add 2 teaspoons, maybe more than 2 teaspoons of chicken bouillon. And that's because I'm cooking a lot. I have 2 packages of pasta. I want the pasta to have flavor, not just withdraw all the flavor and sauce from the beef stroganoff. You can also add beef bouillon instead of chicken. Next, we're going to saute the ground beef, and we're going to cook it the usual way. So pepper, just sprinkle how much you want on there. I'm doing probably about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. Some salt, and I would say maybe 2 teaspoons. Some garlic powder. Don't put it straight on the pan or else it's gonna burn. For now, I think that's about a teaspoon. And onion powder, for now, that'll be a teaspoon. So we're going to saute this. Don't add any oil. Just mix it and let the fat render out. Use my meat masher.
You can add more flavor to the dish by caramelizing the meats. After mixing the spices, let the meat cook. Do not mix it. Cook on medium to medium-high heat. Do not let the garlic burn.
The water's boiling. I'm going to add the pasta. We're going to give that a mix. You don't have to cook as much as I'm cooking. You can reduce everything to half. So instead of 4 pounds of ground beef, you can do 2. Instead of 2 bags of pasta, you can do 1. Everything you can reduce to half. Now that the ground beef is pretty much cooked, I am going to add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. That's going to help brown it as well and give it a little bit more savory flavor. I'm going to add a little bit more ground pepper. And you can do this to taste, but I just eyeball everything. I'm not going to add any more salt. We're going to add a little bit more garlic, a few dashes, as well as onion powder. I'm going to let this brown a little bit more because it really didn't get brown because I had too much liquid in it. I didn't drain any fat. I did buy my meat from ShopRite. So if you find that the meat is too fatty, you can drain, but I just left it. There's not really a lot of fat in the meat. You want to mix everything together, and you can see that the bottom has gotten some brown caramelization on there, the meat as well, and that gives it a more depth of flavor. I really should use a pot holder. Okay, see that nice brown color? That's what we want. And you can see there's really not a whole lot of fat in this meat. I'm going to use my meat masher just a little bit more to get those big chunks. I made a little bit of mistake. Instead of saving some pasta water, I end up throwing away. But it's all right. I'm just going to add 1 cup of water. I'm actually going to add 2 cups of water because this looks pretty dry and I still need to put my pasta in here. So while this is still hot or still warm, I did shut off the heat. I'm going to add my sour cream and my cream cheese. I have 2 big blocks of cream cheese. These are 8 ounces each. You can cut this up as well, just so it mixes easier. But I'm doing it the lazy way, and it's quite soft anyway, so it's gonna be hard to just keep it in cubes. It's just gonna get mushy, so just scraping everything off the package.
We're gonna add our sour cream. And these are 16 ounces each. I tried to add less cream in this dish and it just didn't work out. If you want, you can add ranch seasoning, but I don't want to do that. I actually want to make this all homemade. Well, not all, but most of it. All right, so that's most of the sour cream. I'm just gonna scrape a little bit what's left, and then we're gonna continue this dish.
For a less condensed version, you can use light sour cream or just lessen the amount of sour cream you are using. I do recommend using 2 blocks of cream cheese for this amount of meat to thicken the sauce. You can also add milk and less cream, then add flour to thicken.
Now I'm going to add all that penne rigate into the sauce. If you are using egg noodles, I would say cook the noodles halfway and then add it into the sauce, because you don't want a soggy egg noodle because that cooks very quickly. But since I have a thicker pasta, I can cook it pretty much all the way through, maybe even al dente instead, and then add it to the sauce. Now I know it looks like a lot of cream, but it's gonna work out because some of that cream is going to get absorbed into the pasta. You don't have to add any milk or additional like heavy cream or liquid to it. I shut off my heat again. I'm gonna add the pasta. And once I am done adding all the pasta, you can turn back the heat. You just don't want everything to splash on you. I should have gotten a bigger container, but this is pretty wide pasta, a wide pot. So I tend to cook with this. But you can see I have a lot of pasta in here that I need to carefully mix.
I tend to cook in large batches that serves my family a meal and a half. The half is for those who want to bring some food to work or eat another serving the next day. I can lessen the cost of this dish by lessening the cream and adding flour like I mentioned earlier. I can also make 2 meals out of this by cooking more noodles. Then make more sauce by adding flour, water, and beef bouillon. At that point, it would not fit into this pot and I would need to mix it in my large bowl or my lasagna pan.
I have a serving of the beef stroganoff for myself before I go to work, and then the kids can eat this later on for dinner when I'm gone. Now I know this is a heavy sauce, so you can add more or less of any of these ingredients. You can even add more water if you want, so it doesn't get too dry, which I think I'll add a little bit of water because the kids like it a little bit more saucy. That pasta is really gonna absorb all the liquids, so you can add more water to this. Let's give it a taste. It has a good amount of flavor. I would definitely add about half a cup of water just so the pasta doesn't dry out. So those are my 3 easy repeat family dinners. Dinners that your family will actually eat and dinners that you can repeat several times in a month or even a week if you wanted to. If you found this video useful or enjoyable, or if you're gonna cook this family dinners yourself, please like and subscribe and comment below and let me know how it turned out. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Part of my groceries included sweet tea mix and orange juice. These 2 combined with lime makes a light, refreshing drink. To make this, add 8 cups of water, 1.5 cups of Lipton Southern Sweet Tea, 2 cups of orange juice, and 6 cups of cubed ice, or until the ice fills the pitcher. Take 2 limes and slice it. Squeeze some of the juice and place the sliced limes into the pitcher. To serve, take a tall glass of ice and pour.
So there you go. This is my easy and inexpensive Southern iced tea, OJ, whatever you want to call it, punch. You can add multiple juices in here, multiple fruits. Make it your own. Very, very refreshing. Not too sweet. Just fill your cup with ice. And you can make it your own by adding all different kinds of juices and fruits. Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.